The message arrived at 6:12 a.m. No greeting, no explanation. Plans changed. You're not coming on the cruise. My mother wants only her family. I stared at the screen while the kettle screamed itself dry behind me. Only her family. We had been married 11 years. Long enough for words like family to become weapons. Long enough to know when a sentence was rehearsed. Long enough to recognize when I was being quietly erased. I typed nothing back. Outside, the street was still wet from last night's rain. The world smelled clean. Unbothered, I watched my reflection in the dark glass of the window. Calm face, steady hands. The kind of man people mistake for weak because he doesn't react. The phone buzzed again. A photo, this time. Suitcases by the door. Her favorite leather jacket draped over one. My credit card on top of a passport. Evidence. I turned the kettle off. Too late. The bottom was scorched black. That felt appropriate. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask when. I didn't ask who decided I was no longer worth the inconvenience. I already knew the answer wouldn't be clean. Somewhere between silence and betrayal, a decision had been made without me. I finished my coffee. Bitter. Burned. Then I smiled. Because exclusion is a confession when you know how to listen. The cruise was just the surface. What lay beneath had been forming for months, maybe years, small fractures disguised as routine. Her sudden loyalty to her mother's opinions. The way family dinners became strategy meetings, where I was politely ignored. The way my daughter-in-law spoke to me like hired help, not blood. If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes. She'd laughed over the phone last year. I had laughed too. That was my mistake. The cruise message unlocked everything I'd been pretending not to see. The shared glances. The private jokes. The way financial decisions were discussed after I left the room. I was the wallet. The stability. The background noise. They had rewritten the story where I was useful but unnecessary. And my wife, she had let it happen. Worse. She had curated it. I remembered her voice, weeks earlier, telling me how her mother just worries. How family needs space. How I should be understanding. Understanding is what predators ask for right before they feed. I didn't confront her. I didn't demand answers. That would have been emotional. Loud. Inefficient. Instead, I started listening. At night, I lay beside her, breathing slow, pretending sleep, while her phone lit the ceiling with soft blue lies. Names I didn't recognize. Conversations that stopped when I moved. It wasn't infidelity in the traditional sense. It was worse. It was alignment. They had aligned themselves against me and called it family. I became invisible on purpose. I approved the cruise payments with a smile. I helped pack. I kissed her goodbye like a man who trusted his life to her hands. Then, the morning after they left, I canceled everything. The payments. The joint accounts. The insurance policies that listed me as a safety net. I sold the house quietly. Cash buyer. No questions. I watched the walls empty out like a body losing blood. While paperwork processed, I traced the money. Where it went. Who depended on it. The mortgage I alone paid. The loans co-signed in my name. The lifestyle that existed because I absorbed the weight. They thought power came from inclusion. They never noticed who paid for the table. I booked a one-way ticket. Switzerland. A place my wife once said was too cold for her. Good? I left town without ceremony. No goodbye notes. No dramatic exits. Just absence. Absence is a language fluent people fear. While they floated on decks and drank champagne bought with yesterday's money, I signed the final document that erased my address from their future. I slept that night in silence, so complete it felt holy. They came back to nothing. No house. No funds. No safety net. My phone stayed off for 3 days. On the 4th, I turned it on. 71 missed calls. Voicemails layered with panic, rage, confusion. My wife's voice cracked somewhere around message 34. Her mother screamed by 50. Then the call that made me pause. My daughter-in-law. If you want to join Thanksgiving, come wash the dishes. She shouted, like authority could be reclaimed through volume. I answered, one word, enjoy. Then I sent the photos. Sunlight spilling across marble floors. Mountains sharp enough to cut the sky. A glass of wine sweating beside a pool that reflected nothing but peace. My villa in Switzerland. Paid in full. Silence followed. Then hysteria. My wife finally reached me through email. Long paragraphs. Apologies shaped like excuses. Mentions of family. Of misunderstandings. Of how hurt she was that I'd done this to her. I replied with one attachment. The bank statements. The property sale. The legal separation filing. No insults. No explanations. Just facts. She called again. I let it ring. Power doesn't raise its voice. Later, I answered. She was crying. Ugly, desperate sounds. She asked how I could abandon her like this. How I could humiliate her family. I waited until she finished. Then I said, you decided I wasn't family. I just agreed. I hung up. That was the moment it broke her. Not the money. Not the house. The realization that I had seen everything and chosen silence over forgiveness. Now, mornings here are quiet. The kind of quiet that comes from not being needed by people who only loved what you provided. I walk the terrace with coffee that isn't burned. I watch the mountains exist without asking anything of me. Sometimes, my phone still lights up. I don't answer. Revenge didn't feel like rage. It felt like balance. I didn't destroy them. I simply stopped holding them up. And when the weight returned to where it belonged, I learned something important. They never wanted me. They wanted what survived because of me. I left them with the truth. And I kept the silence.